Which side? You never can come back, whatever.
That's incredible. Wow. And stealing this hot.
Good evening, everyone. I welcome you to a very special webinar. My name is Yetunde Oriolo. I'm a mental health practitioner. And I call this webinar a very special one because this is our 12th edition. This webinar makes it the very first, we are actually, so I call it our very first webinar, I call it a very special webinar because it's our 12th edition. It is 1 year that we have been doing this webinar free. And it is ending, the free webinar will be ending with this topic, men's mental health. So in previous months, we actually did youth's mental health, women's mental health, and we are, finishing with one that is very dear and very special because it's titled Men's Mental Health. It's one that, if we actually get right, like all the other ones, I'm sure the society will be in a much better place. Plus, we all think that men are invisible and they don't have problems and they don't have situations. But the truth is they have a lot of situations, they have a lot of challenges, and they tend to, just suck it all in. And so we just want to learn a whole lot about this issue. Do men really have problem? How do they address it? What's our own part in it as, their spouses, their partners, their parents, their moms, and all of that. So let's kick it in. Like I said, thank you for actually being with us. A lot of us have been with us from the very beginning. I really appreciate everyone who has been there. And so let's kick it in for time's sake because we like to keep to time. So what is the objective of this webinar? Why are we doing this webinar? Many people think it's a man's world. Therefore, men don't have problems. In fact, men should be invisible. That is why, from being a boy, they have been taught to man it up. Don't cry, as crying is a sign of weakness. However, in real life, men too have their own issues peculiar to them and those inherited from our culture or our society. There are the issues of societal expectations as well. So this webinar is to open our eyes to the fact that men are not insulated from life's challenges. And they have their own fair share of challenges as we, as their family or friends should be mindful of this fact and look out for them. So we should be looking out for the men in our lives because they too really do have challenges, even though sometimes we find it hard to believe that. Okay, so what is the definition of mental health? So of course we know that this webinar is the subtotal of it is my mental health and I, right? So when we say men's mental health, we want to look at what mental health is as well as, how it relates to men. So when we look at the definition of mental health, for people who have been here for long, you already know, but it's always important that we re-emphasize it. Mental health involves being in a state of emotional well-being, psychological well-being, and social well-being. It affects our thought pattern, how we think, what we think on, our feelings, our actions. It also determines how we handle stress, relate to other people, and make healthy choices. To be in a healthy state of, to be in a healthy state, our emotional, psychological, and social well-being must be taken care of, which includes and not limited to how we handle stress. I always say to people that, look, stress in itself is not bad. It is when you don't function under stress or you are not productive anymore that it becomes a problem. Okay? We also need to know how to relate with other people. People talk rashly to people, and those people rebuff them, and they say, "Oh, this person is behaving somehow." Nobody wants to be talked to in a irrational way, in a shabby way, and all of that. So we have to all learn interpersonal skills. And once you have good interpersonal skills, you will see that your relationship with other people will get better, and it will put you in a good mental health space. And of course, making choices. When you make bad decisions, it will affect your mental health because you will be down, you'll be isolated, you'll be unhappy, you will be sorrowful. And these are demonstrations of emotions that are not necessarily going to be very good for our well-being. So who is a man? Who is a man? We're talking about men's mental health today. Who is a man? A man is generally referred to as a male adult human being, stereotyped by society to certain roles and character. Such roles include being able to demonstrate strength, be a provider, protector, or head of a house, never showing signs of weakness or vulnerability in any way. So this is who we think a man is, or this is who the society think a man is. But basically, a man is generally referred to a male adult human being. Now, let's quickly look at societal expectations of a man. Societal expectations of a man. The society expects men to demonstrate strength, be strong, don't cry, even when there's need to. So you find out that in the society, you have a girl child, you have a boy child, and you tell maybe you have packed your boxes to travel. Typical home now. And the girl is trying to carry the box into the car. Parents will usually say, leave it, let your brother come and carry it. Why? The brother is stronger than the girl. Even though when the girl is older than, who says that, strength is personally or attributed to men? So these are societal expectations of a man. So when a man shows signs of weakness, it is used against him. Okay? Society also expects a man to be a provider. And this has become so weighty on a man that it has turned to just provide anyhow. People don't care how you get to provide anymore. Just provide. And this brings about a downturn in their lives. If you can't, then you are not good enough. That's what the society tells them. So if a man cannot provide, and you are not good enough, why are you a man? These are societal expectations of men. Also, the society also expects the man to be a protector. Whichever way, he should just protect his family, protect his parent, protect everyone. Who protects him? That's also another thing we need to know. Society expects that, men don't show vulnerability. So don't be vulnerable. That's what society teaches men. Show no signs of weakness. Avoid asking for help. As a man, you must figure it out yourself. And everyone knows that the one who asks for help gets the thing done quicker. And you find a common thing that happens for those who are married or those who are in a relationship. If you are going out to a place and you both don't know the place, the woman will say, let's ask for direction. The man will say, I'll figure it out. Why? Because he had been stereotyped from youth not to ask for help. Okay, or society. So if you stop somebody and is asking, they think, oh, it's a sign of weakness. Also, another societal expectation is to lead your household even in areas you are not capable of. For instance, financial issues or investment, instead of conducting a SWOT analysis. So if you're in a relationship or you are married, it doesn't necessarily mean that because you are the man, you should be leading financially or leading in issues of investment. Whoever has strength in that area will be better to do it, because you commit a blunder. So it's always better to do SWOT analysis for ourselves to see what our strengths and our weaknesses are, and choose who is best to do that. However, society has put it upon the man that he must lead anyhow. Okay, another societal expectation of a man is he must be successful in his chosen field or career. So you find out that men will stress and stress and stress. I know a guy who chose a field way back then, even though thank God he changed eventually. He was into exportation of wood, and he did so much in this area, and he never broke through. And of course, it was a big issue because society saw that, the people around him, which are within his, saw that he was not successful. He was actually, he didn't make it in that area, but that was a challenge. And he wanted to prove that he would be successful, and he kept on losing money. So these are the pressure that society puts on us when we tend to take up a role as a man. Choice of profession is another societal expectation. Men should be, just society expects that the men should be in professions like military, engineers, politician, and not a nurse. So when you hear a man say, I'm a nurse, people tend to just look at them somehow, unknowingly, and these are things that we all do. It took time because nurses are well paid, abroad. It took time, even now people still struggle at it and say, he's a nurse, the man is a nurse. But it's a profession and he's being paid from it. Another societal expectation is that men must wear color blue, brown, white, gray, or black. Never bright colors. Bright colors are for women. And incidentally, for people who are conversant with city councilor and therapist, our theme color is green. We've never used blue. So I said to my secretary, I said, please after I finished my writings, I said, please put this together. And you know what he did? He actually put blue, and I intentionally didn't see anything, and I didn't change it to the color of our outfits. Why? Because it's very peculiar to what we are saying. So he thinks we are talking about men. And what did he do? He automatically used the color blue. And these are things that, society expects from us. However, societal expectation can bring about negative impact on men, such as, number one, pressure to conform to the expected men's role. This pressure can impact their mental health negatively, birthing mental health issues such as anxiety, depression, substance abuse, if they feel inadequate, because so much pressure upon them can bring about the feeling of inadequacy, and it does a lot of time. But as we go on, we will talk about these issues and talk about inadequacies and why and what they do with it. The other negative impact that this societal pressure can bring about on them is career and work choices. Societal expectation to provide can make men prioritize work over their family and friends, which can be detrimental to their well-being. So you find out that some men work and work and work and don't have any me time with their families. And the wife and the children is all by herself. In fact, work will transfer some men out completely. And because the society expects them to provide, they have to do what they have to do, to keep up with this. So if this is consistently done and there's no way of bridging the gap, of course it can be detrimental to their wellness. Another negative impact that societal expectation can bat on men is relationship in regards of relationship issues. Constant suppression of a man's emotions and not wanting to be vulnerable in any way can lead to challenges in a man's relationship. For instance, difficulty in communication or lack of expression of self. If you are constantly pressured to bottle your emotion as a man, men don't express, men don't talk, men don't cry, men don't, men must man it up and just prove it in, then it will definitely result to difficulty in communication in your relationship. because you will not even know how to do it. You will not know how to bring about to express yourself, and that can definitely affect, bring about relationship issues, especially with a woman, because women like to chit chat and talk and express themselves. Another negative impact that the society put on men is the feeling of inadequacy. And this is very major with men, even though, ability to express it sometimes is difficult. So constant pressure to meet societal expectation can bring about low esteem in a man, especially when they are made to feel they don't measure up to standard. Now, the question is, who sets the standard? Society. Who set the standard? Who said, okay, this is what you should be doing or you should not be doing? Examples of those is, when your partner says to a partner says to a man, go and look at your mates. You make him feel inadequate. You make him feel insufficient. You make him feel, oh, it's not that. These are major issues to men, even though, they struggle it off. Or you say something like, is that what your mates do for their wives? Is that what your mates do for their girlfriends or their babes? Even moms sometimes say to boys, is that what you go and look at what your mates are doing? Do you see the house your mates are building? All of these things are pressure on a man, and it can bring about the feeling of inadequacy. So let's look at factors affecting men's mental health. The first and major factor that affects a man's mental health is societal expectation of his role as a man. And we've talked a whole lot about it. Societal expectation of a man is one major factor that affects a man's mental health, because they are constantly chasing what the society expects of them. And sometimes it brings about feelings of inadequacy or makes them do things that ordinarily they will not do. Okay. Number 2 will be financial issues. We're looking at factors affecting men's mental health. Financial issues. Abundance of financial issues can be a problem. And inadequate financial issues, finances can also be a problem, in the sense that sometimes with a man, we're talking about factors that affect a man's mental health now. If a man has too much money, sometimes the wrong people are attracted to him in every area, even on his job. You'll find out that he will find people who will be yes men. They will just be hyping him until they push him to where he's not supposed to be. And sometimes women who don't even love him in any form will just defer to him, but all because of what he has. So the abundance of it can be a problem. Inadequacy of finances can also be a problem. People will not be drawn to him. And most people feel they need validation, whichever way you look at it. Also, job security, financial issues. If the man, if he gets to lose his job over and over, it can affect his mental health. So, we will link job insecurities, or, with finances, because when you work, you get money from it, and that can affect his mental health. Workplace challenges leading to exhaustion. That's also another. Workplace challenges can affect a man's mental health. Sometimes men get to work and overwork. It leads to burnout to exhaustion. We've had cases of people who drop, they just collapse in their workplace. Or even some flying from one job to another, transiting, and they collapse, So workplace challenges can lead to exhaustion, and of course can affect a man's mental health. Another factor will be relationship issues, partnership, separation, or divorce. This can be triggers for mental health. So any man who is in a relationship and the relationship, they are not understanding themselves. It takes studying your partner to understand your partner, right? If you are going to have a good relationship, you must take time to study your partner, their do's, their don'ts, their likes, their dislikes, how to curry their their attention, their affection, their love. These are things you must study. There's no, like you want to go and do your work, you spend time in university studying yourself. I mean, studying the course you want to work on. You go on a job, you go on a training. The same thing, there's no magic with relationship. Same thing, relationship. So you have to do that to be in a good mental space, because when that part of your life is not working, it affects a man's mental health, right? So relationships such as partners, marriage, partnership can be you're in a relationship, you are married. Separation is also another big one, because as much as you want to say, okay, I'm not good, this relationship is not good for me, you also, when you're in separation, you reflect, and by the time you are separating from 1, 2, 3, 4 people, it begins to affect you yourself, especially if you are somebody who introspects. Is something wrong with me? Why are people breaking up from me? What is it that so that thing, if you begin to think, because remember we said in the beginning that our mental health has to do with our thoughts, right? One of the things is how we think, how we feel, and we know that how we think affects our feeling and ultimately our actions, right? So, or then you move from separation and you get to divorce. That's one thing. Divorce is a major part of anybody's life. It's one part that, you go through, and it's a lot on you. It's a lot on you. So I don't want to flog that, but that's one thing that also can affect a man's mental health. All of these things I've talked about, they are triggers for mental health for men. So we need to take note of that. Sexual issues is also another factor that can affect a man's mental health. Inadequate sex can affect a man's mental health, so you are not getting it enough as you think you should. So now our desires and our wants change. We are different people, and so we can't use any yardstick. What is good for you might be too much for this. So inadequate sex can be it can cause mental health issues for a man. Too much of it also can be of a problem. Erectile dysfunction is also a major problem. So that even make a man feels inadequate completely. But when you have somebody who understands you, and you have talked it through with the person, that should not be a problem. But you will see later on when we talk about other issues that vulnerability is a problem with men, or even impotence completely. That one is also another one completely that, affects a man's mental health. Size can also be an issue. But I always say it's not so much the size, it is what you and your partner get to how best you can utilize whatever it is that you have. So when you have a partner who will use size as a condescending thing, language for the man, it will be a problem on the man's mental health, because you're making him feel it's not good enough. Substance abuse is another factor that affects men's mental health. Increase in the use of alcohol or substance as coping mechanisms for mental health issues, instead of seeking help with a professional. So some of all of those things that I've been talking about in the beginning are source of mental health issues. They affect a man. And instead of, you will also see as we go down, we see more and more of these things. So I actually briefly mentioned vulnerability. You see that, we'll get there very soon. There's also the place of stigmatization. So a man might not want to seek help or speak with anybody, because it takes a lot of courage to speak with somebody. How can I trust them with what I talk about? And that's usually why sometimes in a relationship, a man does not want to be vulnerable to speak with his partner concerning what's going through. I hope she won't use it against me. I hope he won't use it against me, right? And so they keep it to themselves. But that is a worst thing to do. It's always better to seek help and speak about it, or even speak about it to a very supportive person in your life. So what do? They turn to the use of alcohol or substances to cope when those situations arises. But the negative use part of substance use is that you always will go to it when you have issues. And what happens? You begin to get addicted to it over time without you know. Other factors that can affect men's mental health is trauma. So men suffer from trauma too. It's not only women that, suffer from trauma. Even as a child, some men were raped, so we always hear of women being raped. Some men also were raped and disvirgin by their house help. Some were exposed to violent environments or involved in accidents. So all of this can bring about flashbacks to them from time to time and trigger trauma in them. So men too have trauma. So and it can be a factor that can affect their mental health. Okay, loneliness or lack of social support can also affect. Loneliness or lack of social support can affect men negatively and their mental health. So sometimes you find that you are home alone, and usually when and that's why some men, they just like to always have women around, they don't like to be by themselves. So maybe you just broken from a relationship, um, um, you are just by yourself, all kinds of thoughts will come to your mind. We just keep bombarding you. And this in itself, when you don't have, so that's why, you remember in the beginning when I talked about the definition of mental health, 3 major things, is the composition of mental emotion, psychological, and social well-being. So if you don't have a social support, it will always affect your mental health, whether you're a man or a woman. It's important that we do have a social support. So when you're alone, you find yourself being lonely, you don't have a social support, it also can affect your mental health. Sometimes it is the losing steam. So men, middle-aged men can begin to lose their swag and begin to feel inadequate. I've had a man say, oh, so I just went to, it's not as if I wanted to date the girl, I just chased her just to be sure that my steam, my swag is still on. You just want to continually feel as if, okay, I'm still catching my vibes as if you're young. The truth is that we can't stay young all our lives. We still have to grow older, right? And growing old can also be beautiful. So, but the feeling of losing your steam can be a factor that can affect a man's mental health, right? Lack of acceptance is also another one, making a man feel less of himself. But the truth is, not everyone will like you. So you find out that, when a man tries to make, you just try to overly do and overly help and overly just give yourself to people so that, they can accept you and see that, oh, you're a nice person. You don't need to do that. And if you now do that, and the people are still not accepting you, it definitely will affect the man's mental health. So let's look at mental health issues with men. Mental health issues with men. So in the beginning, we mentioned this briefly, so we'll just look at it. So mental health issues with men. So all of those things can lead to anxiety in a man. All of the things we've talked about before can actually lead to anxiety. Number 1 is anxiety. And anxiety is usually excessive worry or fear about an issue with symptoms like headache, unsettled mind, right? So when you find yourself worrying excessively about a matter, and usually these matters that, you worry about as a man, you find out that men don't want to talk about it. If it's like a woman issue, he doesn't want to talk about it because he wants to man it up as he was taught as a young child and say, oh, how can I say that this girl is doing guy for me, What's wrong in, talking about it? What's wrong in going to apologize? What's wrong in, so these things bring anxiety. Will she call? Will she not call? Am I the one that will call? I'm looking day 1, day 2, day 5, all of these things, bring anxiety. And these are true feelings to men. Fear, also fear of the unknown, also affects them. So it depends on the issue. You're in a relationship, the relationship is about ending. You're afraid, will it end for real? Is this the end? Fear of, job insecurities. Oh, they are retrenching people in my workplace. My name, will it be among them? Remember that finances is a major thing when it comes to men. We've put that to men. Society has, put that upon men, to do. So fear is also another thing. So anxiety is usually, when you are anxious, it's not that, okay, it's okay, maybe I feel, but when it becomes excessive worry, excessive fear about any instance or any issue, that is already making you feel uncomfortable. Sometimes anxiety sets in and you're like, why am I feeling this way? Sometimes it's headache. Sometimes you can't even place your hand on it, but your mind is not settled. That is the number 1. Number 2, mental health issues with men, depression. A depressed man can still be going to work and seem okay, but if you take note, he could be highly irritable, full of anger, and use substance to cover it, say alcohol or drugs. So depression with men can really be masked. It can really, really, really be masked. You know, this man is going to work. He's coming back. He seems okay, but he's highly depressed. But if it's somebody who is probably married or in a relationship or partnership, or you have somebody with you, and that person is one who has studied that partner of theirs, they will be able to know that why is this guy just suddenly snapping, irritable, monosyllable answers? Why is he suddenly getting angry? You know, or maybe he doesn't want you to know. He goes out, comes out, he's smelling of alcohol, or you suspect that he's taking something to cover, right? That's depression. So don't say because he's going out to work and coming back, you don't see signs of depression. Men are prone to depression a lot, and mostly because of the societal expectation that they carry on their shoulder. Number 3, mental health issues with men, eating disorders. And this can be used to mask mental health issues in men, either overeating or undereating. Some men, when they are beginning to worry and they're problems, their challenges, and they are carrying the load by themselves, they eat too much and they bloat, they begin to put on weight. Some will not eat at all and they begin to lose weight. So these are things that you can use, you can note, because they are common signs with men, right? Another one would be post-traumatic stress disorder. This can be experienced in men who are dealing with trauma. Most noted is emotional numbness, flashbacks, and nightmares. So you find out another major mental health issue with men is emotional numbness. Most men are so numb emotionally, the women around them are just like, no, this is not happening. It doesn't mean anything to them. They don't feel anything. They are totally numb. And this can be traced back. It can be from past traumas in their lives that they have not dealt with, So we need to know these ones. The 5th common mental health issue with men, of course, we talked about it, substance abuse. So the abnormal use of alcohol or drugs when going through a challenge in a man can lead to addiction of that substance. That's the real problem of substance abuse. So you just take it, just say, okay, now I'm just going to use this to take my mind off this, get it off. I just want to sleep it away, drink it away, smoke it away. But because you don't actually deal with the problem and you don't talk about the problem anytime it erupts again, that will be your go-to. And by the time you keep going to it, it becomes an addiction. Anything you do consistently over a period of time, you can get addicted to it. Coffee, you can get addicted to it, right? Anything, even the good things, you can get addicted to it. So you need to be careful, to deal with the issue, but not with the use of a substance. And of course, the 6th other thing would be other disorders that can affect men's mental health. And it can be extreme mood swings. We call it bipolar. So you're very happy and you are just completely off, Some can be delusion in other issues, right? And delusion is also very, very real, depending on what's going on in the life of the man. Delusion is seeing the evidence before you, and you are denying that it's not there, right? So that's also another thing. We're not going to really deal with, the issues, but it's just for us to know that these things do happen. Okay, we'll quickly move to how to provide support for a man going through mental health challenges. So how do we support? And that's why I actually encourage women to join this webinar as well. How do we encourage a man? How do we encourage a man who is going through mental health challenges? Number 1, show genuine care. Show genuine care towards the man. Let him know you have been watching him and that it's okay to talk about it. Show genuine care. When the man knows that truly you are genuinely, you care about him, he will somehow, let you in. He might not let you in fully, right? And letting people in is tough, right? But he will let you in bit by bit until he gets comfortable. And, he begins to talk. Number 2, set time aside just to listen to him without any distraction or judgment. Be open-minded. So if you care and you say to him, now this is you giving support, right? In your own best way. You are not a professional in this field, but you can do that, right? Set time aside for him specifically and say, hey, let's go out, let's go talk about this, maybe over dinner, over lunch, maybe at a park or a garden, wherever, or in your room, when nobody is coming in and out. You just lock yourself up and you begin to talk about it, right? Make sure there's no distraction, because when he decides to talk, he doesn't want somebody intruding then, he's not talking anymore. Make sure that you are not judgmental. Somebody is just trying to talk and you say, didn't I tell you that? Or isn't it how it happened? No. He's going to shut down and he will not talk anymore. So make sure you are not judgmental. Be open-minded. Be open-minded to whatever it is that he wants to talk about. Okay, another way we can give support would be make discussion person-centered. Don't pressure him to say what he's not ready to say. It takes a lot of courage to talk about yourself to another person. It takes a lot of courage to open up about yourself to another person. Why? You're afraid. I hope this person won't use it against me, right? So it takes a so please, don't pressure him to say more than he's ready to talk about at that time. Yeah? The 4th way to support him is question that man in a way that will help him or help them express their feelings and not give you a yes or a no answer. Don't ask too many questions at the same time. Make sure that, the question you are asking is able to explain himself or explain how he feels, so that you actually know how they feel, okay? Other ways to support will be suggest self-care to the man. For instance, exercise, eating healthy, going on a vacation. We talked about them because of pressure of finance. They kind of overly work sometimes to the point of exhaustion. So encourage him to take vacation, have a good sleep, set boundaries with work. And that can help a man's mental health. If you can put boundaries with work. I remember somebody telling me when they came to my office that, look, I switch off my phone. My office phone is dead at 6 p.m. And by 10 p.m., even my mobile is off, completely, because people will keep sending me things and I have the tendency to want to respond. So I shut that down. So you can suggest that to them. Offer seeking professional support aside what you are doing, you can help them get one if they desire, right? If the support you are giving as a family, a friend, a spouse, a wife, or a partner is not sufficient, you can do that. Then don't be offended at any point during this process. If you have decided that, look, I'm going to provide support for my man or this man, whoever they are, remember that we said it takes courage to open up and talk about whatever situation. You have to make sure that you will not get offended during this process. It can be hard for men to be vulnerable. So don't spoil the openness with offense. If the man has chosen to eventually open up to you, don't spoil the openness with an offense, because he will just, shut down again and not want to be vulnerable. So it can be hard for men sometimes to be vulnerable, so we need to know that. Now, how can we improve men's mental health? How to improve men's mental health? Let's look at ways how we can improve men's mental. Number 1 and major way is challenge societal expectation. Societal expectation of men is huge, is big. We've talked about a whole lot of things that society thinks men should be doing. And if they don't do it, they themselves unspokenly feel inadequate. So, number one way to improve men's mental health is challenge societal expectation. And some of them will be learn to show or express your emotion. Society has said men don't cry, men don't show emotion. You got to man it up, all of those things, right? Learn to show or express emotion. It is not weakness for men to cry. It doesn't mean that when you cry as a man, you are weak. It is not weakness for a man to show love. We are emotional beings. We all have emotion. Women might be more emotional than men, but we all have a part of emotion in us. Number two is be vulnerable. It is okay to be vulnerable. Who says a man must be strong or only weak men cry? Talk or share your feelings. This is ways how you can improve your mental health as a man now, right? It is okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to share your feelings. It's okay to talk about it. It is not right. Society say men don't cry. That's not true, right? Another way is, who says only men make decisions at home? Like I said in the beginning, analyze your strength and weakness. You can do a SWOT analysis, then apportion responsibility in your home. That way, it takes the weight over you if it's something you are not strong in as a man, right? So we are challenging societal expectations, and that's the bulk of it. Every man deserves to show affection, and every man deserves to receive affection. So let us learn as a man. Know that you deserve to receive and show affection. Men should process their feelings. Another point would be men should process their feelings instead of bottling it up. Society has taught you to bottle up your emotions and your feelings as a man. But the truth about it is you need to process it and you need to talk about it and deal with it and free up yourself. For every time that you talk about your feelings to somebody who will understand you, you feel better, you feel lightweight, you feel like, the body just came off me. So the first way to improve a man's mental health is challenging societal expectation or role of a man. Number two, be encouraged to speak up without fear of stigmatization. That's another big one. We are so afraid that, the society thinks that a man should do things in a certain way. So, for instance, a man that his wife is beating him up, should be able to come up and say, talk to somebody and say, my wife beats me up. That's a problem right there and then. And the person can help you find ways to resolve it, instead of, bottling it up because you're afraid of the societal stigmatization, right? Another way to improve a man's mental health is seek resources to deal with your issues. Whatever issues you are going, there are a lot of resources out there. A lot of resources out there that you can, get and use for whatever issue is it that you are going through. Then another way is be involved in healthy social connections, sports and hobbies. So there are connections that are very healthy socially that you can benefit from, right? And sports, hobbies, but make sure that, that's why the word there is healthy. Don't go there to make social connections or to help your social well-being so that your mental health can be good and you get involved. You now get yourself more deep into another thing that will spoil that which you have already. And the last thing will be seek professional help when needed. For instance, therapy or counseling. Therapy and counseling helps you to talk about what's in your head, what's in your mind, and hear another opinion as regards that, just to be sure that what you're thinking is what is right or what is wrong, or bring up situations that and you hear other views of it, and that in itself can free you of whatever you bottled up or can help you to make informed decisions about any other decision that you need to make. So let's quickly look at societal benefit of a man with optimal mental health. So if a man is in his best state, his mental health is good, he's in his optimal mental health functioning, he's fine, will the society benefit from it? Yes. And the first thing the society will benefit from it is reduced stigmatization. You'll find out that a lot of things that we could consider stigma will be reduced because it doesn't become a stigma anymore. People talk about it. You know, anything you don't talk about hides. And when it hides, it thrives. But once it's out, it doesn't thrive anymore because there's really nothing to talk about. So it reduces stigmatization in the society. It increases healthier families and communities. You see that the man will not be emotionally numb anymore. He'll be emotionally available. He will be, and a lot of women today complain about that they have husbands who are emotionally unavailable. And the highest thing for a woman is emotional connection. So that will really resolve a whole lot of problems. We had men who have their jobs 24/7 just because they want to be providers at home. But they're never there for their wives. Then they find out that the wives go to have an affair with somebody who cannot even provide anything. Why? Because the person was emotionally available for them. So it will increase healthier families, better community, better love, thriving, and all of that. Okay. Another benefit to a man's optimal mental well-being, when a benefit to the society will be increased productivity. Then he can, he knows the balance. He's not working to exhaustion. He's taking his breaks. He's taking his rest. He's taking his vacation, right? He can speak, issues in his office. He can offload. He himself is not carrying too much weight. And that will bring about productivity for him. If he's productive, the economy will be productive. So we have economic gains. Lower suicide rates. We have men who shoot themselves. And I'm talking about, what's it called now? Men that the society terms successful, because success or successful is relative, right? And they get to shoot themselves, so we can have lower suicide rates if they are in their optimal mental well-being, right? And a generally happier nation. Now let's look at personal benefits of a man with optimal mental well-being. These are plenty. And the best of them is increased emotional availability. The man is available emotionally. He's not just in the house. He's in the house, spirit, soul, and body. He can connect with his spouse, with his wife, his children, with his family and friends. He's not afraid. So we find out that when a man has optimal well-being, he has increased emotional availability, which is very important for everybody, right? He has stronger bonds in relationship because he's now more vulnerable. He's not afraid. He can connect. There are stronger bonds in relationship, right? He has increased self-esteem because now he's happy. He's not feeling inadequate in any way. So he has increased self-esteem. He has less stress and burnout because he has found his balance in his workplace. Yes, money is good, but he knows how to do it, right? He's not doing it because, of pressure. He's doing it because this is what he wants to do. He's better physical health. He's more fit because now he's exercising, he's eating healthy, he's not overeating, he sorted out his problem, and he's fine. His partners, his family, they understand him, they're not pressuring him. He can talk. Sometimes men have financial, they are low financially, and because the society expects them to still pick up all the bills, they will not have the courage to speak out and say, hey, I can't do this now, let's do this because I'm low on. He will just take it all on and just still be pressuring himself, and that's also a major one. He becomes become more sensitive and show empathy. Now, because he's in touch with that part of him, that the numbness is gone. Now he himself is more sensitive to the people around him, and he can now show empathy and understand where you're coming from instead of just, shoving you aside. Trust is built because now he's been able to break the vulnerability, speak about it, and even whoever is in his life that he's speaking to is not using it against him. And trust is built, past is dealt with, talked about trauma, past is dealt with and forgotten. So that's not a part of his life that is showing up is, up there in him. He has dealt with the past. Maybe it was issue of rape or violence or accident, flashback. Now, he has dealt with him. The past is gone and is okay. Other personal benefit of a man with optimal mental well-being, he's more vulnerable, right? Because we even see that in the demonstration of his availability of emotions. He's not afraid to communicate his feelings for fear of bruising his ego. And that's one major reason men don't want to talk. They are afraid that their ego will be bruised, right? Their egos are big, right? So he's not afraid to communicate his feelings for the fear that, he can bruise his ego. Reduced anxiety and depression, personal benefits of a man with optimal mental health. Elimination of substance use or reduction, right? An addiction of any type. That's one of the benefits. Eliminate substance use or reduce it. And of course, the fear of addiction is gone. Finding sense of purpose. Because there's a thing, when you are in the best place in your life, right? You begin to want to, you want to dig deep into yourself, yeah? Finding a sense of purpose and meaning to life. The outlook to life is positive. So as a man, when you're able to deal with all of this, sometimes you want to withhold back, but expressing it helps you to get to this point, right? And it's good for you. You are not negative in your thinking. Outlook life is positive. Overall, you're in a generally overall well-being, which is good for you. So the conclusion for today. In conclusion, men's mental health is a critical issue that deserves great attention, understanding, and support. For too long, societal expectations have discouraged men from speaking openly about their emotions, leading to harmful consequences such as increased rates of depression, substance abuse, addictions, and suicide. Prioritizing men's mental well-being is not just a personal issue, but a public health imperative. By breaking down stigmas, encourage open conversations, and improving access to mental health resources, we can create healthier, more compassionate society where everybody, regardless of gender, feels safe and supported in seeking help. It's time to recognize that mental health matters for everyone, the youth, women, and men too. So this brings me to the end of today's webinar. You need to speak to somebody about any major issue that you want to talk to. Please, these are our contacts. You can reach us and we can be of help. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for being there today. Thank you for being here as always. Okay. So if we do have questions, I don't know if anybody will be bold enough and want to ask questions. Please bring the questions on. You can unmute yourself and speak or raise up your hand and we can attend to you quickly. We'd like to keep our time. The webinar time is 7 to 8. Okay.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you very much for this detailed and thought-provoking
Webinar
discussion.
Thank you, sir.
That you have taken us through the last 1 hour, and I can only say that it's God alone that can reward you for this. You know, I really gain a lot. You know, even some of the things that you mentioned, you know, I didn't think it the way you have explained it. You know, so it makes more meaning to me. Thank you very much.
Most
And
welcome.
I wanted to ask if it's possible for us to get the presentation, you know, so that we can go over it again and also meditate upon it, you know, if possible.
Okay, sir. I will send. We will post it. We'll post it on the group chats. And or if you are not there, I'll find a way to send it to you. Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So welcome, sir. Any other questions? Thank you to everyone saying thank you. I appreciate you all. Any other questions? Any other questions? Anybody has any other question? You can chat me if you have a question and you don't want to speak. I've also been reading chats. Any other question? Any other question? Any other question? Okay, so if there's no other question, I want to believe that we have learned one or two things from the webinar. And if you're a woman out there, there are ways that we can support our men, you know, especially knowing that sometimes it's not them when they bottle up things. It's not because they want to bottle up things. It's because it is how the society has stereotyped them. And that's why they do what they do. But there's a way that we can get what's out of them. Any man that knows that, you know, him breaking his vulnerability with you will not, it will not make you look less on him, and he's comfortable with you, you'll be his go-to. He will be able to speak with you. And for the men, I want to believe that we know that certain things that we need to do henceforth to improve our mental health, because ultimately our mental health being in a perfect space will ultimately benefit us first as men, then the people around us. So thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you. I look forward. So this is also our last free webinar. We'll talk about it ourselves, our group. We'll talk about it and see if we'll be coming up with anything quarterly. Definitely we will get in touch with you through our group and let you know what our moves will be henceforth. So it's not likely that we are going to have a webinar next month. We have done this free for 12 months. This is actually our 12th month. 1 year we'll be doing this, but we'll sure get in touch with you as to the next month. Thank you so much. I appreciate every one of you. God bless you.